All right, we're going to spend just a day going over a checkbook assignment. So, just to introduce you to the assignment that we have, I wanted to go over a couple of things. First of all, why do you need to know how to keep a checkbook register? You might think I pay cash for everything, or I use my debit card, I check my balance at the ATM. That's not really a very reliable way to keep track of your expenses. And if you only ever do that, chances are you're going to end up overdrawing your account at some point because you will have miscalculated how much is in there. And that can lead to what we call unavoidable bills. Avoidable bills, bank fees that you want to avoid. And then, even if you think that you don't write checks or you'll never write checks, there is probably going to be some time in your life where someone is not going to take cash or they're not going to take a debit card or you're not going to have the right amount of cash. So it's worthwhile to learn how to write a check. When you open a checking account, you want to look for, I think the most important thing here is overdraft protection. That means that maybe you have a savings account that's tied to your checking account. And if you end up overdrawing your checking account, money gets automatically transferred from your savings to cover it so that you don't have to incur overdraft fees. And that's really important. A definition here, endorsing a check just means that you signed the back of the check. You want to sign the back of the check in ink, sign it in the appropriate place. And here is a visual of what that looks like. Here's the front of the check. You can see that you're just kind of like flipping it this way. And so the top of it is right up here. This is where you will sign your name on a check that's written to you so that you can cash it or deposit it. It is important to keep checkbook records, which I talked about before, but things that you want to write in there, who you're making a payment to, the purpose of it, if you need a clarification, the amount, the date, and the check number if applicable. And you also want to record every deposit. Here is what a typical checkbook register looks like. And you can get these for free at your bank. If you run out, you can always get more. Over here is where you'll write the check number if you're writing a check. If you're not writing a check, you don't have to write anything in that column. Here's where you write the date, and that can be helpful later on as you're trying to maybe find a missed transaction or dispute a charge or something, just to know when it happened. Then you'll write who it was to. Where did you spend that money? Some people will have a line in between where they might write a little bit more description about what you bought at that location. Or you could just not do that and carry on the very next line with another transaction. Now, over here, we have a column for all of your debits. Now, debits in the world of accounting just means things that are coming out of your account. So anytime money comes out of your account, it goes in this column. Credits in the accounting world means money coming into your account. So anytime you make a deposit, there's an automatic deposit, you have a refund, or anything where money goes into your account, it goes in this column. And you'll see when we reconcile our bank statement why it can be helpful to have those separated. And then over here, now this just means that when you started writing in this particular checkbook register, you already had $160 in your account. And so that goes up here. And then as you subtract uh, different transactions or add money, you just keep that running total. And that way, at any given time, you can look at the balance column and you know how much money you actually have to spend. So, what kinds of transactions do you need to put in a checkbook register? Everything that affects the balance of your checking account: checks, service charges, bank fees, deposits, interest if you earn interest on your particular account, online payments, anything you use with a debit card, ATM withdrawals. Again, anything that affects the balance of your checking account. We will get a little bit of experience writing checks on our activity, but just to show you kind of what's on a check, your name and address should be up here. Over here is the check number, and if you look through the checkbook, you'll see that those are sequential. Number 3, this is typically where your bank name is. Number 4, I don't even know what that is, so don't worry about it. Number 5, way down here at the bottom, this is the account number and the routing number. A routing number is individual to your bank. Every bank has their own. It's like an ID number so that if someone were to cash this check, they would know what bank to go to. And then they would have your account number there as well so that they would be able to verify that you have the money and then take it. Number 6, this is the date. 7, this is where you write who the check is to. 8, this is where you write the amount of the check. And then 9 is where you write the amount in words. 10, this is called the memo line, and this is optional. It's just if you wanted to write more details to remind yourself later why you wrote this person a check. And then 11 is where you sign it. To avoid someone else fraudulently cashing your check, you want to start those number words with a capital letter, start all the way on the left, and fill in extra space with a straight line. Here's an example. You can see this top example, the person has left space. They did not start with a capital letter. And so it was very easy on the second example for someone to go in and just write an extra word in there and fill in another 2. And now here they have taken $2,000 of your money because you didn't protect yourself in that way. So it's really important to start all the way at the end and with a capital letter so that somebody cannot do that. And then that's also why we put a line all the way to the end on the right side so that nobody can go in and adjust it. You can see here at the bottom the preferred style all the way to the left of how to write the numbers. You want to put a period and you want all the numbers to be the same size. And you can see some other styles to avoid all across the bottom there because they can just be more confusing. Oops. If you make a mistake writing a check, it's best to just write void across it really largely and write a new check rather than try to make changes on the check itself. Because to a bank employee, it can look like maybe the person trying to cash your check made those changes and is trying to commit fraud. And they want to be clear that it's not fraudulent. So you want to open this January transactions document, and this is where you're going to see all of the transactions that our fictional person has during the month of January. You'll also have uh, the January register, which you'll need to open in DocHub. And the blank checks, which you'll need to open in DocHub, so that you can edit both of those two things, and those will be turned in at the end. So I'm opening up the January transactions in DocHub just so I can show you some different things, but you should be able to see all of this by just opening it in Google Classroom. So, starting with the very top, this whole section in green is your first transaction. And note that it's telling you on what day you're doing this over here. Sometimes there's going to be a different date inside the instructions, but this is the day that we're doing it. So, this is the date that usually would go in our checkbook register. Your checkbook register is right here, and I'll show you how to fill that out in just a second. So the first instructions say open your checking account by depositing your paycheck of $667.20 plus $50 in cash. So you have a paycheck and you have $50 and you are now opening a brand new checking account. So on the January register, you'll notice the balance is currently set to $0 until we make this deposit, which we'll do. So you want to fill out the deposit slip below. Now, I'm not having you fill out the deposit slip because nobody does that anymore. You just tell them you want to deposit it and you tell them what your account number is, and they usually have you sign something, maybe. And that's really the end of it. So it's kind of an outdated thing. Here is a picture of your paycheck. And here is a picture of the back of the paycheck where you would sign it. So I went ahead and signed that for you. And then I filled out the deposit ticket. Just so you know what a deposit ticket is all about, you have to date the day that you're making the deposit, any cash that you're depositing, which in this case is $50, you write here. Any checks, there's a blank there for 3 checks that you may be depositing at the same time. In this case, we only have one, and $667.20 is where I got that amount. You add everything together that you're depositing right here. Less cash received means I'm going to deposit my paycheck and put most of it into checking, but maybe I want to keep out 20 bucks. I could write that here. In this case, we're not getting out any cash. So we don't put anything in that line. And then it says we are all together depositing $717.20. And then you see this right here that says sign online above only if cash is received. We are not receiving cash, so we don't have to fill that out. So when we go to our register, I would suggest opening a um, text box, maybe a 10-point font, something smaller, and just starting over here. Well, we don't have a check number, so starting with the date. And the date was January 3rd. Space bar until you get over here, and we can just say deposit. You can write more information if you want to. Know that it was your paycheck that you were depositing or cash from your birthday or whatever. And then I'm just going to space bar all the way over here until I get to deposits. And then I got to remember what was the amount? $717.20. And you can always add extra spaces in there if you need to line it up a little bit better. Now I have to update the running balance. I started with $0. I'm adding 717.20. So now I have 717.20, and I'm going to add some spaces just to line that up. Got to make it perfect. Anyway, remember that you can use this to move this around if need be. Now, the next one says I'm writing check number 101 for 3524 to National Electric Company for their bill dated January 3rd. Now I went ahead and crossed out January 3rd because that just means that's when the bill was printed and sent to you. It doesn't have anything to do with you when you're actually paying them. So I crossed it out. What we want to do is look at January 8th. That's the day we're actually writing the check. So first I'm going to go to the check register and write check number. Looking at your blank checks, you notice that you're starting with 101. That's what they said anyway, wasn't it? Yeah, 101. And today is January 8th. And this is to National Electric Company. And we are writing a check out of our account, so it goes in the debits column. And it is $35.24. That is a very cheap electric bill. We don't have anything in the deposits column because it can be either or, not both. Sorry about all these. Okay, then we have to pull up our calculator and figure out what 717.20 minus 3524 is. 681.96. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can move that and make it nice and pretty. It doesn't want to. Okay, so that's what we need to do in the check register to make sure that we write the appropriate amounts and all the information in there. But then we need to go to the blank checks document, and we're actually going to write this check. I'm going to zoom it in a little. I can use text boxes to write to National Electric Company, I think it was. Right, National Electric Company, 3524. I got to write that out in words. 35 and 24. like that. And can I do a line? Yeah, all the way to the end. And then I get to sign it. I can do this with my freehand tool. That's a signature. Okay. Oh, I forgot the date. Date was January 8th. Okay. Oh, and again, the memo line, you don't have to put anything there. If you wanted to, for something like this, like write your account number, sometimes they really want you to put that on there so that it helps them to more quickly process your bill, but it's usually optional. And then I'm done with that transaction. I'm going to go ahead and let you pause as necessary to complete this check, and then we'll move on to the next one. So pause, come back. And the next thing we'll do is now we are using a debit card to pay for something instead of a check. So let's go to the register and there's no check number. So we start with the date, 115. Who are we writing it to? Picket Forum. And we're writing it for $40. And then we update our balance again. As long as you are using a calculator on there, you should still have the previous balance and be able to easily update that. Oops, I forgot what it was. Oh, I can do that in my head. 641.96. Okay. I will also let you go ahead and do this check, this debit, this check, and then come back here and we'll continue with that next deposit. So for this next deposit, it says that you're depositing your paycheck, but keeping $60 in cash for personal spending. So here's what you would do if you had to fill out a deposit ticket. Still going to write the date. You're going to write what check is coming in. So here's the amount for that. And then bring that down because it's the only thing you're depositing. Then here's where you write less cash received. I'm going to take $60 in cash out of that paycheck for myself, subtract the two to get your net deposit. And because you are receiving cash, you have to sign. And we're going to write that. Yes, we're going to write that in the checkbook register. But I haven't been doing this with you and I'm not going to start now. So this number right here is the amount that goes in your checkbook. Nobody cares about the $60 cash because it's not going into your account. It's not coming out of your account. You're taking it out at the same time you're putting that paycheck in, and so it's only the difference between the two that is going into your account. And so that's the one line that you will need to have in your checkbook register, showing your deposit. Next, we have another check. I'm going to let you go do that one as well. And then we get to the last step, which is to reconcile your statement. And I have a separate video for you to do that.